If you can't get to art school, how do you learn to create the art that you want to create? In this video, let's review how I followed the process from Kelsey Rodriguez's video about finding your art style. I worked out what sort of art I want to create and crafted a curriculum to learn how to make it. At the end, we can look at an accountability spreadsheet I'm going to use to track the time I spend learning and creating art. There are links to Kelsey's videos and all of the other collateral I refer to in the description. If you want to follow a similar approach, I recommend you watch Kelsey's videos. Step 1 in Kelsey's approach is to identify art you want to create. Kelsey is clear, this may not be a list of your favourite paintings because there are paintings that you might love without wanting to be able to paint them yourself. I started with lots of paintings from lots of artists and gradually whittled it down to a collection that I wished I'd painted. I ended up with one or more paintings by each of these artists. Some of my favourite artists and paintings didn't make the cut because they don't meet the criteria of being something I passionately want to paint myself. But also some of these artists probably aren't at the very top of my list of all-time favourites. They're here because there is at least one of their paintings I'd wished I'd painted, or there is some aspect of their style I wished I could emulate. The Café Watercolor video, Mind-Blowing Thoughts from 6 Watercolor Artists, contains an important insight on this topic from Andy Evenson. He took workshops from artists with really loose painting styles. He didn't want to emulate their style, but he wanted to learn how to loosen up his own style. Step 2 is to find the common theme. What is the thread that links all of these artworks together? I finished this step by following a technique from Beaven's Your Big Why video. I wrote some evocative statements about the art I want to create and how I want to create it. Here are the sentences about the art I want to create. I'm not going to read them, but in summary, I want to create paintings of landscapes and nature that serve a different role to photographs. I want to include an emotional element, and I'm not aiming for photorealism. In some passages, the pieces may even look a bit hurried, but when you study them, you realise that nothing is accidental. This is exactly what the artist wanted to create. Everything is perfectly placed, every line, every brushstroke is exactly what they wanted. The pictures can be admired as a representation of the subject, but the lines and brushwork are also beautiful in their own right. Here are the sentences about how I want to create art. Since starting to think about non-toxic oil painting, I've become more conscious about the waste I'm creating and the chemicals I'm coming in contact with. Now I've bought acrylic painting supplies, I'm going to use them, but I suspect in the long term I may focus on watercolour and gouache because they are less polluting and the tidy up is easier. I want to make being outdoors a major part of my artistic practice. I want to get outside and explore to find inspiration. I want to sketch outdoors to record my experiences and feelings. At this point, I don't feel the need to work outside on bigger, more complete artwork, but maybe I will in the future. Step 3 is to make a plan. You know where you want to be, and now you need to work out how to get there. This involves identifying what is stopping you from painting in the way that you want to paint. This is a list of the skills I need to improve. For each topic, I identified books and other training material from which I could learn. You could look at some of the major training platforms, but I already have a few books, so this is my starting point. There are links for the majority of this material in the description, and I reviewed a lot of them in my original Art Without Art School video. There is a link to that video in the description and at the end of this one. All that remains is to organise this material into a curriculum or study plan. I am thinking of each bar as a class. The first 2 bars contain the 3 main themes I am focusing on: improving my compositional skills, getting outdoors, looking at things and drawing from life. I'm going to do one exercise for both of these classes every week, apart from when I'm on holiday. I'm going to watch a video from Ian Roberts' Mastering Composition channel, starting from the beginning and creating an exercise based on the content. I'm also going to read a section of the Curious Nature Guide. And create a sketching exercise based on the Try This box. I also plan to do at least one activity each week from one of the other bars. Initially, I will focus on the material I am already working on, and then add in the elements of drawing during the winter and sketching now watercolor in the spring. The last bar is Master Studies. This is part 4 of Kelsey's approach. I'm planning to start this after I finish drawing and painting The Landscape by Philip Tyler. I will do a master copy of one of the paintings I picked in step 1 and then paint a similar subject using some of the techniques I used in the master study. One more thing I want to share is the spreadsheet I'm going to use to track the time I spend learning and creating. In his Setting a Minimum video, Chris Beaven recommends setting a minimum amount of time you will spend creating each day. I've set a target of 15 minutes. I will use this spreadsheet to track the time and record how I spend it. There is a row for each day with columns for recording the time I spent, what I was doing, and which class it contributed to. For now, I'm going to focus on making process videos showing how I progress as I work through this study plan. Please let me know in the comments how I can make this channel more interesting and helpful. Thank you for watching. Here is a link to a video in which I review most of the books and courses which I'm using in my study plan.